Anything is enough light. It is recording. And the short intro is on. Hopefully we'll be able to hear it.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, good.
Hi, welcome to Badass Running Presents, radio show designed to introduce you to amazing small business owners, provide a platform to help differentiate them from others in their field while making a difference in their community. We build relationships that go beyond your typical networking and advertising. Hi, I'm Trish Aikman, your host of the show, as well as Chief Branding Strategist and Creative Marketing Consultant with Badass Branding. We come to you here every Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Austin, Texas time. We invite you to join our Facebook fan page and follow us on Twitter as well. Both can be found by just typing in Badass Branding. All of our shows are archived, so if you're unable to listen to us live, you can check them out on the replays right here at Blog Talk Radio. No one will ever even know you're sitting in your jam and Cheetos. If you have a question for our guest today, your dial-in number is 347-539-5132. And the chat room is also open, so feel free to come join in on the fun. If you'd like to be interviewed, or you want to suggest someone specifically, maybe in a particular field that you'd like to hear from, email us at showtime@badassbranding.net. We also have provided tracking sponsor packages. Not only help us stay on the air, but you also give back to the community by sending us a donation to a local nonprofit. Contact us and learn more. Again, thank you for joining us. My name is Trish Aikman, your host of Badass Running Presents. Contact us to learn how to put a badass in your marketing plan. You know what they say, we're not talking about you, you need to talk to us. Now, on the show.
Hi everybody, today we are live on Blog Talk Radio as well as recording a video which will be on Badass Branding's YouTube channel. So if my voice seems a little shaky or I feel a little weird, it's because I'm used to being behind the mic in the comfort of my computer screen, but decided to step it up a little and do a live face-to-face video as well. So I couldn't have picked a better person really to do this, crossing over this new horizon as I sit with a woman who's somewhat of a trailblazer herself. I'm excited for you to meet this extraordinary woman who is a world traveler. She's helped countless of people through many for hours of nonprofit work and leadership, and has an amazing entrepreneurial spirit. I'd like to introduce you to Karen Boyer, co-CEO of Sourcefound, a brand new startup business that just came out of beta, is based right here in Austin, Texas. Being that she works side by side daily with her husband Qua and her other brother Dennis, who's over there on the sidelines, we know that Karen is really the brains and beauty behind this operation. But along with her entrepreneurial side, she also has a deep-rooted philanthropic core. I'm so excited to have to get to know you, have you get to know her, and why I am so proud to call Karen my friend as well as business associate. So Karen, welcome to the show.
Trish, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be a part of this first video one.
Yes.
The radio ones were fabulous, so
Oh,
I know
thank
it's
you.
just going to keep getting better.
Well, I'm having a blast with this, and I think they just keep getting better and better. So. First, as we sit on this beautiful antique piece of furniture here, kind of tell us a little brief rundown of what made an all-American girl from the East Coast of a fine arts theater degree cross over and become an Asian businesswoman.
You know, it came from embarrassment in a way. I was working as a hotel concierge, and one of my colleagues was from Beijing, China, and I was talking to her a little bit. Now, this is in the 90s. About my ideas and thoughts on China, and she just laughed at me and she said, Karen, you need to get out of your country and learn some other ways of thinking and other ways of approaching things, because all you're spouting now is just American ideas, which are fine, but it's great to be a little more well-rounded.
Yeah.
So that inspired me to find a job overseas.
Okay.
The first one I found was actually in Japan.
Okay.
And I went over there for 2 years and I absolutely loved it. And I want to share a little story with you about the type of people I met. one of my first trips into Tokyo, I lived about an hour and a half by train outside of the big city.
Oh, wow.
I had a great day, wonderful day, and I got on the train to go back to my little town, and I got on the wrong train. So I'm standing on this train trying to read my map that's bilingual and look at all these signs and match up the characters. This gentleman could tell that I was obviously like drowning in being lost. And so he came over and he asked me in English, even though we were in his country, where I wanted to go.
Okay.
I pointed on my map and told him. He waited 2 stops, walked me off the train, walked me to my platform, and made sure I got on the right train before going back to continue his trip.
Awesome.
And I just thought, that's his commute home after a long day of work, and he just stopped it to help somebody he didn't even know.
Right.
And I was like, that's the type of person I want to be, and I'm so excited to encounter somebody like that everywhere.
You don't always see that in the big cities here in America, unfortunately.
I think if you're lucky, you'll run into it. I've gotten help on the New York subway as well. I tend to get lost very easily, so I count on the kindness of strangers.
I knew we had other things in common. Well, we also obviously know there's a big cultural difference. But tell me kind of what the business difference is, especially being a woman business owner.
I think actually, there's kind of a thought of women not being as big in business in Asia, but I have to say when I was in China, I saw a lot of women with entrepreneurial spirit. Now, it may not be the president of a big company, but they might run their own restaurant or their own food stand or souvenir stand, but you do see a lot of women that kind of have that spirit. I think that the main thing is don't walk in there with preconceived notions, because a yes might be a no might be a yes. You have to kind of take the time to learn a little bit about the way they do things, and don't always get offended. So for example, a lot of times they will say yes when they mean no, because it's politer to say yes, not to ruin your day, not to try and trick you up. And sometimes people, they lied to me. Well, take a step back, and if you're going and doing business with somebody from another culture, take a little time or ask somebody else who has studied their culture, what are some things I should look out for and be aware of, and realize that sometimes things that are frustrating you may actually be them trying to treat you well and be polite. And vice versa, things you might be doing to treat them well may be driving them to bang their head against the wall a few times.
Right. So that's some of the things you would say prepare to go over, is really study the culture, study their mannerisms, study their colloquialism, all the lingo and everything like that. Is there something specific that you wish that you had been more prepared on, that you had to do it again?
I don't think I could have been. And because it was so different than my wildest imagination. But, the one thing I found out is there are good people everywhere. There are people that are a little crazy everywhere. There are people that are, every type of person you meet in America, you can find that type of person everywhere. And you just seek out the people that are like spirited in you, that are kind and giving and want to share.
Right. So with the business aspect, what was one thing that really kind of made you like, wow, I'm really an American businesswoman here in Asia? Did you kind of feel like you were kind of put on a little pedestal? Were you treated differently? Were you given different...
Absolutely. Just even in your daily life of walking down the street, it's somewhat living like a rock star. There are certain things where if a person from America says it's more believable than somebody who maybe from their country studied over here, so has a familiarity with the culture, but has gone back. Just the way we preconceive when we look at somebody that we might judge their knowledge in this or that, they have the same thing. And when they see the Western features, they assume you're very knowledgeable about the Western culture and you operate in that manner.
We kind of do that with English people, don't we? We kind of hear that accent. We just automatically assume that they're so much more smarter than us. So, well, you mentioned just a second ago that the preconceived notions. I know that you had said that one of the things that you said that if you learned one thing is to never take anything at face value, to not assume anything. Go a little bit more into detail on that. That applies everywhere, of course.
Well, one of the things is that I grew up and I was raised with the idea of when you're talking to somebody, you look them in the eye because that's what an honest person does. And if somebody's not looking into your eye, it sets off alarm bells, and you may be kind of like, they're a little shady.
Yeah.
But actually, in some cultures, looking somebody in the eye is a sign of disrespect.
Oh.
So they might look past you, or they might look down, or over here.
Act defensive.
Very little look in your little time looking in the eyes, but it's not because they're dishonest. It's actually a sign of respect.
Right.
And that's something that if you're not aware of what's going on, your original thought is, I better watch out for this person.
Right.
Or maybe this person doesn't like me. They won't look at me.
So you would recommend taking courses, perhaps? Or I know the internet, you can research and find out so much on the internet. What is something that someone would say, this would be a great way to at least get a good jump start on crossing the cultural?
Definitely read. There are a lot of books out there. Talk to somebody from that country. Now this may be a funny story, but when I first moved back to the U.S., I wanted to keep up my skills in Chinese. So I went to all the Chinese restaurants that I drove by, and I pulled in and I said, do people here speak Mandarin Chinese? Is there someone that has time to teach me? And a few restaurants, they only spoke Cantonese, which is spoken in Hong Kong. And then I found somebody who did, who was very willing to help me. So actually, you could seek out people from that culture here and pay a tutoring fee or something and learn a lot.
From actual submersion. Even.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is you can ask people there. I found that I would say to people, I'm not very good at guessing what you mean. If you mean C, but you're actually saying A, I'm going to believe that C is what you mean.
Right.
So I just want to clarify this. And most people were pretty open about it and pretty understanding that there were two different cultures and there may be some misunderstandings. And they were kind of thankful that I put it out there and said, I just want to clarify, this is what I'm hearing. Is this what you're saying?
You weren't questioning their beliefs or their way of doing it. You just wanted to make sure that you were on the same page with them.
Which actually is useful in any relationship.
Yeah, we should all be more like that, right? Well, if there's something that you learned over there, I know when we talked prior to this, you said that there were some things that you would not have learned here in any university or in any job experience that you learned in working over there.
I think mainly a lot of it was how to. Well, I started off in the Northeast, and things were very fast-paced, and you would go and do 50 things and have your checklist and run. And then I moved to Alabama for college, and that was a little bit slower, and I had a little trouble with that. I'd run into somebody in the grocery store, and they'd be like, hi, how are you doing? Because they had a nice, healthy approach to life. And I was like, say what you got to say. I got to go. I got 60 things on my to-do list. Let's go. And it's not that I didn't like them or want to talk with them. It's just that I kept a schedule that was not healthy at the time. And that slowed me down a little bit. But I think living over in Asia where things were so different and where you couldn't just push it to your way. If you wanted to be there and be happy, you had to accept other ideas and other ways of thinking. Just really kind of helped me balance a little bit in what speed you move in and what an accomplishment really is. It's not just checking off your to-do list, but it's doing the project with quality and maybe always taking it one step further.
Okay. Because I see, my perception of the Asia community, my brother lived in Japan for a while when he was in the military. And he said, yes, they are, of course, very densely populated, but they do kind of have a slower, very casual and community-oriented personality with everybody.
It's different in each Asian country. They actually kind of have their own personality in some ways, but there definitely is a sense of family. And a lot of the people I've met lived with several generations, and you took care of your mothers, and nursing homes are just starting to get going there because for a long time you would be an embarrassment to put your family member into a nursing home. It meant you weren't taking proper care of them. Whereas the way I've always looked at it is when I get old, I want to live in a nursing home because I want other people around me that I can play bingo with and go for walks with. And, I want that social thing to live in a house where, my children were off at work all day and I was watching soap operas all day. It would drive me crazy.
Right, right. Okay, well, I know that in your words you said that it's very important to participate in nonprofit work. Let's kind of cross over into that because you've been very philanthropic. You've worked with nonprofit organizations. You most recently just stepped down from the
Asian
Asian
American
American Chamber of Commerce. So, in your words, why is it important to be a participant in a nonprofit and be more community oriented?
I think that when you give, it circles things around. There are always people that will have more than you, and you can look at them and say it's their responsibility to give. But the reality of it is that you probably have a lot more than other people, and you may not be able to give your money, but maybe you can give your time. And it doesn't. It can be on your terms and what interests you. And a lot of times you find through giving that actually you meet really great people and you
Right.
learn a lot from that. You know, one thing you can do if you're just starting out in your career and you can't find a job in a certain area, maybe you want to volunteer doing some, say you want to study marketing. You could volunteer to do some marketing for a nonprofit that doesn't have a budget for it. Now you're building up your resume.
Right.
They're getting some marketing that they need. And if you make a mistake because you're volunteering, it's okay.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of times you're giving, but you also get back as well. And it's just, you know, when I was teaching some in China and you would spend extra time with a student getting them ready for a test and they come back and they've passed this test that's going to make a huge deal in their future career and the universities they're going to be able to go on to for further education. It just feels good to say I had a small part in that.
Sure.
They did most of the work, but I had a small part in that, and it's just nice to see it change the people around you.
And how do you feel people can best choose the type of nonprofit that they work for?
You want to think about what you like in life because you don't want it to be a chore. You don't want it to be something you don't want to do. So, you know, if reading is your thing and you love to read books, you know, maybe the library or maybe something that helps give children books. If you love to cook, maybe you want to work at the food bank or the homeless shelter or work to help put together an event that's around food. So think about what you're going to enjoy and what you're going to like. Or something that you want to learn. So you definitely want to make sure it's something that you can go to with a smile and be happy and be giving. So it's not just like, oh man, I have to volunteer today.
Yeah, you signed up, you got the commitment.
You want to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the different nonprofit works that I do, and then the other organization that I co-own, Texas Charity Angels, and helping nonprofits get their information out there. That's one of the questions people ask me, how do I even begin choosing? Especially here in Austin, oh my gosh, there's so many different nonprofits to choose from. And I tell them just go and try out different ones, go and visit, you know, and see what a connection is, or finding out from someone else in networking, where do you volunteer sometime?
Absolutely. You don't have to commit right away.
Right.
You can shop around just like you would to find a new pair of jeans.
Yeah.
You want that right fit that works good for you. You can shop the nonprofits and go around to different ones. I know every year there's a company or a nonprofit organization called Green Lights.
Yes.
And they do a big fair every year where you can meet a lot of nonprofits at the same time and see which nonprofit, you know, which one works for you.
Yeah, definitely look up Green Lights. They're a fantastic organization. So now let's go over now into your other entrepreneurial side, the money-making side now. And tell me a little bit about Sourcefound and how it came about.
Well, you know, it's funny, having spent a lot of time working in the nonprofit industry and being around giving, when I moved over to the for-profit side, I definitely wanted to make sure it was a company that was interested in the community and giving to the community.
Back.
Now, as a startup, of course, that doesn't mean you're sponsoring big events because you're not at that stage yet.
Right.
But it does mean that you're looking at what you do and how it could help other people. So one of the things that we've done with our platform, what it does is it helps you connect to businesses and freelancers that serve businesses.
Right.
So if you're a new business and you need to find a marketer, you need a lawyer, you need a contractor, you can get on our website to connect easily. Right now, it's very locally focused, so it promotes a lot of local businesses.
Which is awesome.
And we really look towards the freemium model, which, if you don't know that, it's sort of like LinkedIn, where you could play some for free, but if you want to move up, then you've got to start paying fees.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it allows the starting business that doesn't have that budget to use the services and get what they need without having to spend the money.
Right.
As they grow and they need more, well, then they have a bit of a budget for it. But then,
and the contacts.
right,
Yeah.
right. Then we're providing a service to them as well as, working with our company.
Right. So you lived in Austin for just a couple years now, right?
I've been here. It's been racking up. I've been here about 6 years now.
Oh, about 6 years now.
It's gone by like that.
Okay.
I feel like I arrived here yesterday in some ways.
Well, it's Big Brother that's just been here a couple of years. Okay.
See, what happened is, now I was overseas in China,
Mm-hmm.
and I was moving back to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
after I'd been there about 5 years. And I knew I didn't want to go to where I was from. I won't mention any state names, but it was really cold.
Yes, I know where.
And there wasn't a big social life. And I was a single gal at the time. I was like, I need some social life.
Right.
So I started asking people. And believe it or not, even all the way in China, people were like, go to Austin. I met several
Seriously?
people from Austin that were like, go to Austin.
And not Dallas. I always thought
No,
people should thought of
right.
Dallas.
So I came here. I was able to find a job at a nonprofit and loved it. And from that moment, it was kind of like, well, how do I get my brother here? Because I love it. My parents are now here. My husband, I fell in love, got married. So my husband was here, but my brother's always been a big part of my life. A lot of times via the phone, but I was like, hey, I'm in the States now. He could actually live here.
Right.
So when we started this company, we had the perfect position for him, and it was a great fit, and it was great to be able to say, hey, come on down.
Okay, so I have to ask. Now, I love Dennis and Kwa. I mean, I see how you guys work together, but I have to know, when you have disagreements, when you have that, where it's just like, okay, family, and I have to live with them, and I have to work with them, and how do you get through that?
I think I like to say part of it is being in a kind of cross-cultural marriage. My husband was born and raised in Singapore, and then he came to the U.S. to go to undergrad up in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon, and then he came down here to UT, thankfully, because I met him here. I don't take for granted that he knows what I'm saying, or that he understands what a certain thing is.
Okay.
So I maybe explain a lot. Or if he does something and it makes me angry, I don't take for granted that he understands why it makes me angry. So I might say, when you do this, it makes me feel like this. Now, that's very women speak. I know if there are any guys out there, they're like, we would never say that. But just think, if a woman can tell you, when you do this, it makes me feel like this, and that's why I don't like it, it's very easy for you to stop irritating her.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. So it just sort of makes it easy. We're also... I think some of it comes with age. I was feisty when I was younger. I was a feisty gal.
I can't see that at all.
But now I like peace and harmony in my life. So I'm always looking for the positive side of something. And I think even when we're clashing, I know that the reason we're clashing is because we're all passionate about the success of the company.
Right.
And the way the company operates in the community and being a positive, integral part of the community. So when you know it's coming from a good place, it's a little easier. But sometimes you just have to walk away too. Sometimes you have to say, let's discuss this again tomorrow. Because if we keep going now, I'm going to say some things that I'm not going to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get to that point. So far we haven't had anything that has been detrimental.
Awesome.
So far so good.
Well, good.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got someone here. Well, I know I'm part of Sourcefound, and I was one of the first branding and marketing people on there. I'm so proud of that part. Tell me a little bit more about why a business should look into Sourcefound instead of just going and Googling.
Well, one of the things that happened to me when I was with the chamber is if I needed something done, it took a huge chunk of my time. And as you know out there, if you're an executive director or if you're running a small business, time is the one thing you don't have.
Right.
So if we needed a mover, that was an afternoon of calls. Everybody has their own sheet to fill in. Then you get all of the quotes back in. Then you have to see who's free on that particular day.
Right.
It ate up a lot of time. If I needed a trainer, for something. It was the same sort of thing. Whereas now with Sourcefound, it really saves you time. You can go through, find the companies you're interested in, send them all an email all at once. So you're not making all of those separate calls. The ones that interest you, you can follow up with phone calls or any way you'd like to, but you're not having to start from scratch. The other thing is you can save your searches. So you don't have to go on and, oh, where was that company? Because it ranked on page 1 yesterday, but now where is it? You can save all your searches so you're not having to go back or even try and remember, did I call that company already? I don't want to be calling twice.
Right.
Because they don't know I'm searching for other quotes right now. You know, this way you can save what you've done and have that record right there really easy for you.
So you kind of created this out of your own experience on things that you've had to deal with in business and in life as well. And so in creating this method, what are some things that you kind of brought into, maybe from your agent experience, into this?
To try and make it as simple and intuitive as possible, but yet robust with the features. Okay. So there's a lot of features, but it's very set up very simply, so you can just kind of walk your way through, and to try and not guess what the other people are thinking.
Never assume.
Never assume.
Take things at face value. Yes. Well, we have just a few more minutes. Tell us what are some of the businesses that you're looking for to join Sourcefound?
You know, I think anybody can participate in it. Anybody who is looking for a service can definitely get on there and do a search. If you have a business that provides service to businesses, you can also list, and you get a very robust profile that includes links to social media, description, map. If you don't have a website right now, but you want some sort of web presence without spending the money, you can actually have a profile on Sourcefound, and it will give you a web presence without having to spend that money. So it's really great for anything. The big thing is, though, is it's towards serving businesses. So if you have a service or product that is geared mainly towards consumers, you wouldn't really be a great fit. It's mainly if your product or service is geared towards businesses.
Okay, and the website is sourcefound.com.
Yes.
And yes, you can go and look for Badass Branding on there as well. I need to go in there and update my profile a little bit. I noticed the other day, it's like I meant to do that before the interview and I didn't get around to it. So.
Well, you can check it out and then email Trish some update suggestions.
Yes, please do. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. Time just went like that.
Yeah, I can't believe that's a half an hour.
Almost, yes. I wanted to tell a little bit about our sponsor for this show. Katrina Gaddison is an amazing coach, and I appreciate her being the sponsor for this show. Go and check out her website as well, and I bet you she's going to be on Sourcefound after this.
I hope so.
Check out Katrina at sellitlikeyoumeanit.com. You can also find her on her Facebook and Twitter, and she's been out there twittering for us today, and I appreciate that. Also, our coming up shows, I just dropped my notes to see if I can get that before, whoa, I went underneath the table. There it is. Live!
You're running around.
Next week, I am going to be interviewing a executive women's coach. I met Louisa at an event, oh gosh, a couple years ago. She actually lived in Pennsylvania, and we kind of kept in touch through the social media realm. And she heard about my radio show and contacted me and said she would be a part of it. So next week, join us as I'm going to be interviewing Louisa Razish with the Inner Contessa. And you have to go check out her website. Her website's beautiful, and she's just an amazingly beautiful woman. So I'm really excited about that. Maybe we'll have her on video as well. And then also our other sponsor for our show today is Bang Salon. If you want to make sure you have the most awesome hair color, even purple highlights like mine, go check out and talk to Sean and the ladies at Bang. Their website is bangdayspa.com. And of course, check out Sourcefound. Give us your phone number and email for people to contact you directly.
The email is Karen, Karen, at sourcefound.com, and the website is www.sourcefound.com.
Dennis, anything you want to add over there from the peanut gallery?
You ladies rock.
What can we say? This has been fantastic, y'all. Keep on finding out all of our different archive shows. We have several shows. Our archive listeners are growing every week. We are so excited about the participation of sponsorships, and so contact me about that as well. And join us on our Facebook and Twitter, and we look forward to talking to y'all soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
How did it sound?
I like the ending music. Ending music actually reminded me of a sports center.
Good.
Yeah, they have this one like